bitter criticism. Coming back to my native language. No. English is not that bad. Let's read some CGTN now. Let's read some Russia Today neutrality studies. I don't remember the name of this guy, I'm sorry. He's such a nice guy, speaking the truth, trying to make some content on YouTube. Sometimes there's no content, bitter criticism, neutrality studies. But the guy is, I don't remember the name, but definitely such a nice guy. It's not Sima, you know, if the progressive, the neutrality sphere of politics wants make a beach volleyball tournament, Nima and this neutrality studies guy will be the perfect couple because their channels, I'll say Nima's Dialogue Works Dialogue Works logo is not that great. Not that great. Neutrality Studies is better. I don't remember the name of this guy, but such a nice guy. He speaks the truth sometimes. Sometimes he said the global north is so much better. Believe him, believe me, global south sucks. But anyway, I don't remember the name of the neutrality studies. I'm going to check it out right away. I'm sorry. Neutrality studies host will be saying no, forget about me. I never neutrality studies. Welcome to neutrality studies. I always Pascal Lotas. Pascal, I'm sorry, Pascal. I said you sometimes don't say substantial content. I'm sorry, but last time I didn't watch all the video. That's a play. I can watch complete videos. But Pascal was reading Russia Today just like me right now.
La 607 se me pasó, Leo. Se demora tanto. ¿Hace mucho que le pasó esa? Recién. La alcancé a llegar.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read the very same Dimitri Trenin. Dimitri Trenin. I will try to find as training. This was the very same article Pascal Lotas was reading. I'm going to read all of them, or what I can. July 14. Dimitri Trenin. World War III has already begun. In the West eyes, Russia must be destroyed. Yeah, that leaves us no choice. By Dimitri Trenin, a research professor at the Higher School of Economics and a lead research fellow at the Institute of World Economy and International Relations. He is also a member of the Russian International Affairs Council, RAIC. So let's read why. You know, I have this feeling, and I have a friend, an old friend, also likes geopolitics very much. He told me since he was a little kid, he's like 60 years old. He told me there always was this danger of World War III. Everybody was talking about World War III. 100 years, 100, yeah, almost 100 years by now, or 70 years back in time. So maybe, yeah, maybe it's a great. I'm sorry, Lotas Pascal, but Dimitri Training maybe is fooling us, like us, and like us ourselves have the same feeling, the same of World War III. But many now speak of humanity's drift towards World War III, imagining events similar to those of the 20th century. But the war evolves. It will not begin with a June 1941 Barbarossa-style invasion or a Cuban Missile Crisis-style nuclear standoff. In fact, the New World War is already underway. It's just that not everyone has recognized it yet. For Russia, the pre-war period ended in 2014. For China, it was 2017. For Iran, 2023. Since then, war in its modern diffuse form has intensified. This is not a new Cold War. Since 2022, the West's campaign against Russia has grown more decisive. The risk of direct nuclear confrontation with NATO over the Ukraine conflict is rising. Donald Trump's return to the White House created a temporary window in which such a clash could be avoided. But by mid-2025, hawks in the US and Western Europe had pushed us dangerously close again. This war involves the world's leading powers, the United States and its allies on one side, China and Russia on the other. It is global, not because of its scale, but because of the stakes. The future balance of power. The West sees the rise of China and the resurgence of Russia as existential threats. Its counteroffensive, economic and ideological, is meant to pull a halt on that shift. It is a war of survival for the West, not just geopolitically but ideologically. Western globalism, whether economic, political, or cultural, cannot tolerate alternative civilizational models. Post-national elites in the US and Western Europe are committed to preserving their dominance. A diversity of worldviews, civilizational autonomy, and national sovereignty are seen not as options but as threats. This explains the severity of the West's response when Joe Biden told Brazil's President Lula that he wanted to destroy Russia. He revealed the truth behind euphemisms like strategic defeat. Western-backed Israel has shown how total this doctrine is. First in Gaza, then Lebanon, and finally Iran. In early June, a similar strategy was used in attacks on Russian airfields. Reports suggest US and British involvement in both cases. To Western planners, Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea are part of a single axis. That belief shapes military planning. Compromise is no longer part of the game. What we are seeing are not temporary crises but rolling conflicts. Eastern Europe and the Middle East are the two current flashpoints. A third has long identified. East China, particularly Taiwan. Russia is directly engaged in Ukraine, holds stakes in the Middle East, and may become involved in the Pacific. The war is no longer about occupation, but destabilization. The new strategy focuses on sowing internal disorder, economic sabotage, social unrest, and psychological attrition. The West's plan for Russia is not defeat on the battlefield, but gradual internal collapse. Its tactics are all-encompassing. Drone strikes target infrastructure and nuclear facilities. Political assassinations are no longer off limits. Journalists, negotiators, scientists, and even their families are being hunted. Residential neighborhoods, schools, and hospitals are not collateral damage. They are targets. This is total war. This is underpinned by dehumanization. Russians are portrayed not just as enemies but as subhuman. Western societies are manipulated to accept this. Information control, censorship, and historical revisionism are used to justify the war. Those who question the dominant narrative are labeled traitors. Meanwhile, the West exploits the more open system of its adversaries. After refusing to interfere in foreign politics for decades, Russia now finds itself on the defensive. But those days must end. As our enemies coordinate their attacks, we must disrupt their unity. The European Union is not a monolith. Hungary, Slovakia, and much of Southern Europe are no eager for escalation. These internal fractures must be widened. So, very interesting article. Dmitry Trenin is speaking openly about strategic, about the war. Cool. You know, I prefer that. I have Italian citizenship. I prefer BRICS Italy. What about the BRICS Italy? The European Union is not a monolith. Hungary, Slovakia, and much of Southern Europe are no eager for escalation. These internal fractures must be widened. Western strength lies in unity among its elites and their ideological control over their population. But this unity is not invulnerable. The Trump administration presents tactical opportunities. His return has already reduced U.S. involvement in Ukraine. Yet Trumpism should not be romanticized. The American elite remains largely hostile to Russia. There will be no new detente. And there's a related news. Fyodor Lukyanov. The West mocked BRICS for years, but now is paying attention. Yeah, maybe. Aggressive. Mocking BRICS. Yeah, maybe. The war in Ukraine is becoming a war between Western Europe and Russia. British and French missiles already strike Russian targets. NATO intelligence is embedded in Ukrainian operations. EU countries are training Ukrainian forces and planning attacks together. Ukraine is just a tool. Brussels is preparing for a wider war. What we must ask is Western Europe preparing to defend or attack? Many of its leaders have lost their strategic judgment, but the hostility is real. The goal is no longer containment, but to solve the quote-unquote solve the Russian question once and for all. Any illusion that business as usual will return must be discarded. Oh, that's sad because Russia has so much gas, natural gas. We are in for a long war. It will not end like in 1945, nor settle into Cold War coexistence. The decades ahead will be turbulent. Russia must fight for its rightful place in a new world order. So what must we do as Russia today? Dmitry Trenin 2 days ago. First of all, we must strengthen our home front. We need mobilization, but not the rigid models of the Soviet past. Very interesting, because I love Soviet. I don't know if I will love Russia, Soviet Russia. We need smart, adaptive mobilization across all sectors, economic, technological, and demographic. Russia's political leadership is a strategic asset. It must remain steady and visionary. We must promote internal unity, social justice, and patriotism. Every citizen must feel the stakes. We must align our fiscal, industrial, and technological policy with the realities of a long-term war. Fertility policy and migration control must reverse our demographic decline. Secondly, we must consolidate our external alliances. Belarus is a strong ally in the West. North Korea has shown reliability in the East, but we lack a similar partner in the South. This gap must be addressed. In the South, what they're talking about? Maybe about Brazil. The Israel-Iran war offers. There's another article by Dmitry Trenin. The West war on Russia will go beyond Ukraine. The West war on Russia will go beyond Ukraine. Yeah, it's the same thing. Oh, so this guy is like such a Cassandra, remembering Mighty Aphrodite from Woody Allen. Such a Cassandra. I like it. I miss, Timur Fomenko. I miss you, Timur. I love you. The Israel-Iran war offers important lessons. Our adversaries coordinate tightly. We must do the same, not by copying NATO, but by forging our own model of strategic cooperation. We should also pursue tactical engagement with the Trump administration. If it allows us to weaken the US war effort in Europe, we should exploit it. But we must not confuse tactics with strategy. American foreign policy remains fundamentally adversarial. Fellow European powers like Britain, France, and Germany must be made to understand they are vulnerable. Their capitals are not immune. The same message should reach Finland, Poland, and the Baltics. Provocations must be met swiftly and decisively. As a former Finland fan, I was a Finland fan, but nowadays not anymore. But I still getting messages from Finland, like come to Finland, come to Canada, come to Australia, but I'm not sure about it. I will stay with, there's a Trotskyist Brazilian party, Diário da Causa Operária, Hard Work Party, such a funny name. Hard Work Party. They said maybe Russia and China will not win over the conflict, over World War III. Maybe imperialism will win. What about that? Such a sad end for humanity. But definitely Russia and China, they are right. They are right. Anyway, if escalation is inevitable, we must consider preemptive action, firstly with conventional arms. And if necessary, we must be ready to use quote-unquote special means, including nuclear weapons, with full awareness of the consequences. Deterrence must be both passive and active. Our mistake in Ukraine was waiting too long. Delay created the illusion of weakness. That must not be repeated. Victory means breaking the enemy's plans, not occupying territory. Finally, we must penetrate the West's information shield. The battlefield now includes narratives, alliances, and public opinion. Russia must once again learn to engage in others' domestic politics, not as an aggressor, but as a defender of truth. The time for illusions is over. We are in a world war. The only path forward is through bold strategic action. Yeah! I like it. what can I do for Russia? Pepe Escobar just published a video saying that because he is a Russian agent, of course. I guess. Well, Pepe Escobar is collaborating with Russia Today, in my opinion, and he published a video saying that NATO will fight Brazil. He didn't say he didn't say Brazil, Dimitri Training, but and in fact Brazil. Well, he said about Joe Biden chatting with Lula to destroy Russia. I hope something from Brazil. I hope the best. You know, I met a Brazilian right here in Chile. Brazil is not that great. This guy is a right winger, but he's not so important. He's like a homeless right here. I cannot help him because I don't know. I don't trust him actually. There's an article from Mexico. The page calls I don't know how to spell this name. The brake share. La silla rota. Look. They published an interesting article. I'm following them, and they say the military fragility that the EU face, and let's say la fragilidad militar de EU frente a la guerra del futuro. The fragility, the weakness of EU facing World War III, the future war. The future war. Talking about World War III. Mientras el mundo avanza hacia conflictos más tecnológicos, masivos y rápidos, el poder militar estadounidense se enfrenta a un problema silencioso pero urgente: su incapacidad de adaptarse al tiempo. They are not adapting to the technological, massive and fast and quick conflicts. They are talking about the United States actually. Not well. This grammar mistake right here, a Spanish grammar mistake. They said Estados Unidos, but grammarly you say you have to, in Spanish you have to repeat because it's plural. Plural. Understand? Estados Unidos, United States. More than two states, more than one state, so it's a plural, and you have to double the acronym EEUU. Understand? EEU. So they are talking about the E. Well, this is interesting. They are saying the United States lag behind China. Look, now it's correct. Look. More than one, plural, you double the acronym, double the letters of the acronym. So expensive weapons, expensive and slow weapons to produce, understand? They are betting on hunting jets. They are saying the jets are expensive. They are depending on Chinese industry. Look. Such a nice page from Mexico. La silla rota, the broken chair. China already surpassed United States in several fronts. Defense industry They are talking about management, about bad policies from Pentagon. Look. So they are saying Pentagon policies lag behind, basically. Future war is autonomous and massive. Yeah, they're talking about that China has a lot of AI. I don't understand like how AI can win a war. Unfortunately, I'm in Chile. There's no violence here, despite what Chilean television says. There's zero violence here. Without interoperability, there's no coordination. And the last one, that was the last one. So, if you go to Brazil, forget about taking two cell phones away, taking off two cell phones in the public bus. Forget about it. You will die. You will get robbed and dead at the bus in Brazil. So Chile is a safe island, for sure, safe island. Everybody takes care of that baby. Is not great because of philosophy subjects, behavior subjects, but definitely this parochialist society, little island of 20 million people.